Hello and welcome to FleetSmarts. We know you. You're a small business. You're the backbone of our economy. You account for 75% of all employment and more than half our GDP. Too busy to worry about one of the major costs of just running your business, the vehicles you use day to day in your operations. That is your fleet. We're going to address that business expense, show you how to minimize costs, how to maximize efficiencies. We'll have industry experts on as guests in every episode. We'll answer your questions. We'll solve your problems. Welcome to FleetSmarts.
Welcome to FleetSmarts. Today we've got with us Mr. Randy Moore of Mr. Transmission. Randy, so good to see you again.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Thanks for inviting me down.
My pleasure to have you here. Now listen, automatic transmission repairs scare the daylights out of most people. Should they be afraid?
Well, Bob, I think it's a scary word for most people because, they've never had the experience before. So it's nothing to be afraid of. They need to go to somebody that understands what the problems are.
Right. And small businesses especially, they've got older vehicles, they don't have backup vehicles. How do they measure that downtime for repair or maintenance, versus the bigger downtime for repair and cost related?
Well, I assume that the fleet companies are taking good care of the maintenance side of the schedule. It's, if you go to the right specialized aftermarket provider, they'll take care of the transmission within a day or so anyway. Right. So it's not that big a deal.
Perfect. Now, the smaller fleets, again, today, they're not starting with new vehicles. They're starting with used vehicles. What's the average age, would you say, of your repair vehicles?
If you're looking at overall in the aftermarket, I mean, it's probably about 7 years old.
Wow.
So it is quite a ways out there.
Yeah.
Some of the newer vehicles it doesn't affect, but a lot of people with trucks, they keep trucks on the road forever. I mean, they've got a big investment in them. They're part of the company or fleet that they need, and why not keep it running?
Well, that's also. Now, the biggest culprit would be fluid levels, maintenance thereof.
Yeah, I'd say nobody ever checks the fluid, ever. And unfortunately, that's why we have an industry. 90% of the problems are low fluid or overheated fluid not being checked properly.
Yeah.
So
now, again, even if you're just looking at your parking spot, seeing if there's fluid when you pull away and whatever.
Yeah, I love going to the shopping mall. I mean, you see all this money on the ground, whether it's oil or transmission fluid, it seems to be coming out somewhere.
Well, even if a vehicle's out of warranty, what's the best approach now for a regular service? It's out of warranty, it's used. How do they address regular service?
Probably the most published unread book in the world is the owner's manual. And I think if they stuck to the owner's manual, they'd probably be in really good shape.
I think so too. Now, I'm confused about this because I've been told 2 or 3 times by different people there's so many different kinds of fluid, automatic fluid, especially in the market. Help me with that.
Yeah, that is one of the things that most people don't get. There are special fluids for special types of vehicles, and you really need to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
You need to get some advice. Either go to the owner's manual itself or get advice from a specialist, because putting the wrong fluid in at certain types of transmissions will make the problem worse and not better.
Wow. Is there an example, one example of that you can give?
Well, you have Honda, for example, has its own type of fluid for transmissions, and it doesn't really, it's not too compatible with others. Chrysler had their own Q3 fluids for their performance, and the engineers that built the product, they want that vehicle to operate in a certain way, and so they've got their own fluid.
I drive the 401 regularly here in Toronto,
That's
and
too bad.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about my luck there, but I see a lot of trades vehicles, if you will, with trailers. They look pretty heavy, construction site trailers. Now, what's the downfall of towing one of these behemoths behind a vehicle with an automatic transmission?
Well, actually, the transmission's fine if you have the right kind of auxiliary cooler. I mean, for a few $100 investment in the right auxiliary cooler, you don't have to worry about the transmission.
Right. Well, and what about the small fleet that happens to grow a little bit? They got a contract, all of a sudden, Joe the plumber's, instead of just Richmond Hill, he's over in Etobicoke or Mississauga or Guelph, let's say. So now he's got vehicles here, there, and everywhere. Do you apply that central billing to a smaller fleet as well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so do most of the aftermarket companies. Everybody follows the central billing process. It makes it easy for the fleet customer. It makes it easy for all of these contractors that are out there not to be fussing around getting paid.
Yeah. Well, again, I have this stereotypical view of a small fleet with a dashboard covered with receipts and invoices and whatever, and got to get back and bring the brown paper bag to the accountant at the end of the month. Is that?
That's your car.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I got a pretty first-hand view of that.
No, we see a lot of that, actually.
Yeah. Now, small fleet and regular maintenance, is there a way to get onto your website, let's say, and get some insights, some tips?
Oh, absolutely. You go to www.mrtransmission.com, and there's so much information. You could probably build your own transmission on there.
Wow. That's scary.
It's full.
If you had to give one piece of advice to a small fleet, small business, what would that be?
I would say more than anything, come for a preliminary inspection and then, go on a regular basis once a year. You save so much time and money. Just
Perfect.
Get it checked, find out what kind of vehicle it is, what kind of transmission it is, what kind of fluid it is, and we'll create a stock card for that vehicle that says, this is for this vehicle, this is what it needs, and then it's always in the vehicle.
That's super. Now there's an advantage to dealing with a chain that's national as far as standards of service and warranty and etc.
Yeah, yes, plus fluids. I mean, we carry all the fluids in all the stores for all the vehicles, so you don't have to worry that your car's stuck in Saskatchewan and you need that product that we haven't.
Wow, that's it. If you have any questions about your driveline, your transmission, you need answers, send us in an email and your photo. It will put you on the wall here, make you famous, and Randy will answer your questions. Randy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Bob, for having me.
Super. And you've been watching FleetSmarts. I'm Bob Mauro.
If your car is over 80,000 kilometers, it might be trying to tell you something. Maybe it's telling you something's wrong with your transmission. Or not. Almost half the cars we see don't need serious transmission repair, but we might be the only ones who tell you that. Get a complete transmission service for just $79.95 and avoid these nasty signs. Mr. Transmission. We speak transmission.